This ought to be fun. Welcome back, horror fans. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. almost Central Time, and that means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that shops smart, shops S-smart. Thank you for joining our live show, and for all of our podcast listeners, be sure to check us out so you too can interact directly with the show. Well, it's not quite Wednesday, even though I said Wednesday. It's actually Thursday, but we normally do this on Wednesdays. This week, we're covering select films released in horror history June 13th through June 19th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Johnny O, and with me is...
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, that's about it. That's all we got. It's just you and me. We're running this, what you call, just the two of us?
Yeah, this is like the skeleton crew here, because we got, let's see, JL is actually in Oklahoma, so I don't even know if he has internet right now. But he may pop in chat a little bit, maybe on his phone or something like that. And then Alex it was his birthday yesterday, and his wife is having contractions, so there may be another little Alex here.
There could be a new cast member to the Week in Horror podcast. It's all in the books. It's going to happen sooner or later.
It's gotta happen, because they were gonna induce her, I believe, by like the 15th, but she started having contractions and everything. So we wish them the best and a safe and healthy delivery, and making Alex a dad again.
Absolutely. Let's see here. I hope this is recording. Oh, yeah. No, Angela will be able to get this off of the... There it is. We can make it if we try. Commander Darklight. Very good. By the way, hello, Commander Darklight and Charlie Welch. Good to see you both.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So we do have a new limited edition T-shirt on Teespring.
Yes. Go and check it out. It is awesome.
Yes. I'm not going to say I'm the reason why it exists, but I'm the reason
why. He had a little hand in it, just a little.
Just a little. No, it's really cool, and I think that the other idea that we have going with that, where the inspiration behind the shirt, we got to do it right, because you play drums. I play guitar.
Yeah, it has to be done. Yeah,
it has to be done. I'm sure we could teach Alex and or JL to play the bass and or sing something, at least in the style of punk, hardcore punk.
Yeah, at least be able to kind of like wing it a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Kind of thing. Punk is
exactly
drums play, so all they got to do is just kind of look good doing it.
Yep. That's Travis Barker's a good drummer. Although I wouldn't say that Green Day is a punk band. Or not Green Day. Fuck me running Blink-182. Oh, jeez.
There's the pop punk kind of very mainstream. Yeah, kind of. But Barker, he's a good drummer. He's really good. Yeah, he is. He's very talented.
Yeah. So what do we got going up? We've got Blumhouse remakes of Firestarter and Christine. What is this about? Do we really need these remakes?
I'm really excited because I like a lot of house productions. Blumhouse has things like Get Out and Happy Death Day and a whole list of films, horror and non-horror. Whiplash. They're starting to go and buy these rights. Christine and Firestarter. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I'm curious. John Carpenter's Christine is, I don't know if it needs a remake, so I'm curious to see what they do with it. What kind of car do you think you're going to use?
I think Plymouth Fury is like the perfect Christine anyway. I'm curious to see what Blumhouse is going to do, but I think out of the two movies, Firestarter and Christine is such an iconic. A lot of the effects they used on the car still hold up today because it was all practical.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to want to do a lot of like just not necessary CGI for that. And same thing with Firestarter, right? The Firestarter stuff was no, it was all practical too. They actually shot.
Yeah,
fireballs
actually it
and
was.
whatnot. So yeah, I mean, unless they commit to doing all practical effects, what's the point?
And see, that's what I'm kind of thinking, is because in a remake, honestly, the hope that you could get, or the best you could get, is that you're on the same level as
Right,
the
you're only
original.
going to be as good as.
Yeah, you're not going to reinvent the wheel and all of a sudden blow it out of the water. It rarely ever happens to begin with, and I just don't think it's going to happen with either one of these films. But money.
It's what it is. It seems like a cheap payday.
Everything in Hollywood right now, Hollywood is playing it so safe, especially after the whole pandemic and that they're only greenlighting remakes, things that have established IPs, that anything over $1 million has to already be established for them to invest in it.
I guess. Hey, everybody, is everything coming through all right? Because Eugene's a little robotic for me. Am I robotic for you, Eugene?
You're sounding good. It may be my internet. I'm in a different setting today, so the internet's not as good as my IT roommate's internet.
I see. All right. I tell you what, we're here to talk about some horror films. Let's get into what I have to say is the most interesting set of films to talk about. I think we've talked about on this podcast.
That is a way to put it.
Yeah. So
I'm saying there's a reason why JL took this week off. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, that's exactly right. So what do we have up first?
So, first film we have 2005. We have Touch of Death, and it was directed by Lucio Fulci, and it stars Brett Housley, Rian De Simone, and Al Cleo. And I mean, basically, in a nutshell, it's a movie where shit gets real.
Real fast.
Bad. Real bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I love how, like, there's one scene where the lady in the pink dress, right? I think it's the fourth kill. It's either the third or the fourth kill of the film. And he's whining and dining this lady in the pink dress, and then he gets his club and like fucking slashes her across the face with a club, right? That doesn't take her down. This is one tough ass woman, right? So she gets
up time.
Yeah, she like gets out and runs away from that, and then she trips, she falls over a step, and then he fucking hits her in the head again, like blunt force, boom. He hit her so hard, her eye fucking pops out, right? And then she doesn't move for a second. So he thinks, oh, all safe. And then she jumps up and fucking runs off again. Like, Jesus Christ.
This woman is like, she should have actually been the killer because of how tough she is. You can put her like Michael Myers or Jason, where like, yeah, I mean, she's beat over the head. She tripped over like the smallest step I've ever seen anybody trip in the film. It's not like she fell down a flight of stairs and tumbled or something. It's like a random single step by itself that she trips. It's beat pops back up, beat pops back up again. Like, damn.
And like nothing. Well, she just has, a part of her face got ripped off, her eyeball's gone, and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna go run some more. And it wasn't until he, puts her head in the oven that then she melts. Just
like fucking Rasputin kind of thing.
Yeah.
It keeps fucking coming back.
we were talking about this in the green room before the show started, talking about how this movie looks bad for a 2005 film, and that's because it was originally, I guess, put together because this was a direct to home release in Italy, right? It was a bunch of different like home video style things put together, and there was this huge, I don't even know what to call it, argument between the producers and the director, and I wouldn't have put this out in the 80s. I don't really know.
No, this is bad, like subpar for 80s. And because I think it was originally filmed in like 1988, I believe.
Something like
and
that,
it's something like that. And so there's this arguments and this rights thing and this whole like legal battle, all this kind of stuff. And it finally gets released in 2005. But it doesn't even look. It looked bad for the 80s. And then you release this thing in 2005, and it's like, holy shit, this is bad.
Where I will give them credit for the practical effects, they weren't. I mean, for 2005, they were shit. But I mean, for one film, it wasn't terrible. Like the part where the lady's eye, got torn off. It was like, come on, it's obvious it's a wax fucking statue. Speaking of wax, apparently J.L. Warren is afraid of the wax museum. We got to trick him into going to that place one of these days.
Oh, we will. We will have a production meeting and then kind of kidnap him and go to the museum.
hopefully he's not listening right now. Hey, JL, if you're listening, these are not the droids you're looking for.
and Angela, if you are listening, yes, we have him and take him to the wax museum.
Oh man! All right, so director versus producer on this thing. Do we really think that's what held this movie up? From what I understand, there were a lot of people that were suing for the rights, like to the home video portions of this. That's kind of what held this up. The production company, I guess, didn't want to pay for the usage or some shit like that, and the director really wanted to use them. I don't know why. They're terrible, but you could have just reshot them and been done with it.
I see. There's the whole legal battle, and the thing is today all that stuff's negotiated. So when you shoot a film, and who get paid up front, who gets the box office sales, who gets the streaming rights, who gets paid on that end, all this stuff is negotiated like throughout the home video release and all this other kind of stuff. So this being a low budget film, the stuff was negotiable, but the home release wasn't. It would get held up. It wasn't going to be released in theater, so now it's in home video. And the thing is, honestly, who gets paid? Does the director get paid? Does the producers? Does the studio? Who ultimately gets this money? And argue back and forth on it, and you can't release it until all that stuff is worked out.
Yeah, I mean, that I don't understand what the argument was about. They should have just put this thing out and be like, all right, cool. If we recoup what we put into it, we should consider ourselves lucky.
Yeah, I mean, they may have thought it was some like great piece of work or something that was going to make a lot of money and make a huge box office success. I don't know. To be easy negotiation. Hey, you get your part, I get my part, blah, blah, blah. You sign the paperwork and go, because the longer you wait for this to come out, the worse it looks. At least if you release it in the 80s, people have 80s standards. They don't have 2005 standards.
Right. So one thing I do like that it has a very Silence of the Lambs, Manhunter kind of thing, Red Dragon thing to it. Obviously the people took influence from what the hell's the name of the writer? I have to look it up because I can't remember.
You're talking about for like Manhunter.
Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, who wrote that book? Thomas Harris. You could
Okay.
tell. Mr. Malore, my goodness. Yeah, Thomas Harris. Thomas Harris, you could tell there was a huge Thomas Harris influence on there because of the, the feeding of the parts that he didn't want to eat to the pigs, and of course the fact that he got the video, that's where he picked his victims and shit, and there was a lot of influence you could feel was kind of pulled from those style that character, that Hannibal Lecter series.
Yeah, it's kind of a poor man's Silence of the Lambs / like Red Dragon.
Yeah,
kind of. And luckily he did it before Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon actually came out.
It wasn't before Manhunter though.
But yeah, because Manhunt came out what, 76?
Something like
that. Yeah,
it was late 70s, early 80s. 1986. So
86.
Late 80s. Yeah, 86. So it was 2 years before. So yeah, I could definitely see where they might have pulled some influence from Maneater, but I just think the whole the Thomas Harris series, that novel Silence of the Lambs, I think that's you could feel the influence at least, or they would just extremely
Oh, absolutely. You can tell. And a lot of times Italian directors or foreign directors will see something American made and go, I can do that and I can kind of get away with it because I'm in a different country. Like we were talking about the film that was rip off of The Exorcist, which was beat for beat The Exorcist. Like just they watched The Exorcist and basically remade it in Italy. We talked about maybe 6 months ago. I can't think of its name.
I can't remember.
And I mean, exactly. And then it's like, okay, we have this, and it made money, recouped the budget. Obviously, wasn't successful as the original on it, and everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie was fun.
But a lot of times,
go ahead.
It's one of the things I did really want to touch is how important the relationship is between the director and the producer, which is probably the most important relationship, and the only one that may contend with that is a relationship between a director and a cinematographer, the director of photography. In terms of how close knit you have to be, because what a producer does is their job is to provide all the tools for the director to make it. So the producer brings the money, they do all the contracts, locations, crew, equipment. The producer brings all this stuff in, and the producers are the ones that have the final say on the business stuff. So if the director is like, I want to use this location, and the producer's like, we don't have money for it, guess what? The director doesn't get that location. And so it can become back and forth, because a lot of times, if you have a good relationship with a producer, you can both kind of pick your battles, where you're like, hey, I'll give you this location we can't afford, but we need to scale back on this scene.
Right.
And it can, and that way it can kind of be a good thing.
Right.
On
Mr.
that,
Malore says Brian Cox was a better Hannibal. I don't know if I agree with that one. I thought Brian Cox was forgettable as Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter, but I think that was because the film. I mean, it wasn't. Brian Cox wasn't really as important of a character to Manhunter. But maybe that's just me.
I agreed. I like Brian Cox, but I think in terms of just movie wise, because the movie wise is pretty good, but it's just when you compare that up to like Silence of the Lambs, that's just so iconic. It's just
Sir Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster's interactions, that tense chemistry they had together was, I mean, it was hard to reproduce, which is what I think ultimately was a drawback to Hannibal. Was the fact that the chemistry between Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter just wasn't the same with Oh gosh, what is her name? Help me out.
I think Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore, yeah. Not that Julianne Moore is a bad actress, and you know what I mean. It's just there was something missing. That I don't know, that naivety that Jodie Foster brought to the Clary Starling character. It seemed to be kind of missing. But that's just me. Anyway, that's a little off topic. That's how bad this first movie is.
You gotta start talking about a better movie.
I'm talking about better movies. Let's talk about better, worse movies. Anyway, so this, I think that you bring up a really good point that the relationship behind the two biggest influence or the biggest pieces of the filmmaking process, they got to kind of be in lockstep. Because you can have an excellent script, you can have an excellent cast, but if the director and the producer aren't at least in a working relationship, the film is going to be terrible. It's going to flop.
It just really is. And the thing is, you see it time and time again in Hollywood where you have all these issues between the studio and the director, like Suicide Squad and Aliens 3 and a bunch of other ones. And it's like, you get your director and then you trust them. And if you don't trust the director to begin with, don't hire them.
Exactly. Have you seen the Clary series on Stan? I have not.
I haven't either.
Anyway, you were going to say, I felt like you were about to make a really good point and then I just fucked it up.
They just threw me off completely. All I'm saying is, like, you trust your director. You're hired Quentin Tarantino to do a film. You let him be Quentin Tarantino. You don't have him. Man, you're really good at all your super kills and also the now I want you to do a rom-com. It just doesn't work.
It would be interesting to see him do a rom-com. Like
it would be the glorious rom-com ever.
Yeah, it would be. Instead of was it boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back, it'll be boy meets girl, girl kills boy, boy comes back to life and eats girl, some weird shit like that. But
something like that. And then I have like a mass fight scene or something like that, with the crazy ape versus Candyland plan, something like that.
That would be fucking hilarious. Some fucking peyote fever dream or some shit. Yeah, that's exactly
I'd pay money to watch that. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, if I saw a freaking movie trailer talking about a peyote fucking fever dream about Candyland versus the Hateful Eight, I'd pique my interest a little bit. Like, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, all right. At first, you had my curiosity. Now you have my.
Now you got my money. Right, what do we have left on this movie? This amazing touch of death movie. What else can we? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. We talked about director versus producer.
I mean, I don't even really know. I mean, it had the long release, it had the arguments for financing, and then it eventually came out 30 years too late.
It's true. Came out 32 years late. Now, remember, this movie was released 20 years after it was made, yet it was 30 years too late. That's important.
I want people to realize that.
Yeah, that's key. That's why I had to stop you and emphasize that, because that may have went over some people's heads.
So, well, you know what? I want to go ahead and ask the audience. I don't actually think we've actually touched on any of his other movies.
He's got a few. I mean, he's an Italian director. He's what? What was his big one? Was it Zombie? The Zombie series?
I think so. I actually have to look it up. He's had a few kind of big name film.
Yeah, he's got a. I'm looking at his filmography now, and my goodness, Yeah, Zombie is that. I mean, that was I guess 3 or 4 part series. I'm trying to see if I remember if any of these really just stand out to me. None of them really stand out as I remember watching this one. I'm sure I've seen tons of these things. I feel like these were the movies that came on like UPN 21 when we were kids.
At like midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd be up late at night watching TV when it wasn't supposed to be, and like these are the films that would come on.
Like borderline public domain, so they'll just show them anyway.
Like whatever, just show it, no big deal. He did the Black Cat, so there you go.
Okay, yeah, it's like the Black Cat.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's yeah. My goodness.
Yeah.
Johnny, how about a zombie vampire debate? I'll take vampire. Yeah, we'll set it up. I'm sure I can find you a debater on that one, Mr. Malore. Anyway, I'm sorry, Eugene, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean that's he's done a couple of things. He has a zombie series, The Devil's Honey, New York Ripper. We talked about the Black Cat, and there are a couple others out there. The Eroticist. That's interesting. Watch that one later.
Speaking of midnight film watching.
All right. Yeah, there we go. But what I want to ask the audience is, what is your favorite Lucio Fulci film? So does it happen to be Touch of Death? Does it happen to be some of the others that we've mentioned, like the zombie series? Have you even seen any of his films? If you haven't, definitely let us know in the comment section below, or shoot us an email at weekinhorror@gmail.com.
All right, let's check in with the old side chats. We've got a few people have joined us since we started this one. Mr. Malore, Earth's Life, Chris Durham Music Channel, Dr. Lord Stinky Butt the Butler. That's one of my favorite names.
That's one of my favorites, too.
Sir Chasm, I agree with you. It says, I would rather watch Trauma than Italian horror. At least Trauma knows its place and doesn't try to overachieve. That's exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Commander Darklight says, I have not seen any. Well, don't feel bad. You probably have. You probably just don't know it because it was on in the background. It's just background noise, really. Have you seen I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, I just, a lot of times you'll see films when you're watching a horror film and there you have the characters like on a couch watching another movie, like on a TV or something. Usually it's one of these movies that's being played because they're really easy to get the rights to.
Are you not are you purposely ignoring the name of that show?
Oh wait, what show?
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
there needs to be a horror show version of that.
There really needs to be. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. I mean, I've so many. And a lot of times I'll go back and watch the film originally just to like compare the two. But yeah, that needs to make a comeback. I am a fan of the riff tracks that they still do today. Go on the website and you can download the full movie that they have synced. So it doesn't have the robots or anything, but they still do like the audio track on it, and people will sync it up and stuff. But riff tracks, fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that show was always fun. I always love that show. All right, up next we have we have the best film that we're going to talk about tonight. I think JL made a mistake by having this being the second film because you can pretty much tune. I'm just kidding. Don't.
No. Say please.
Please don't stay. Please stay. Anyway, we've got Jaws 2, 1978 American thriller film. I don't know why it's a thriller film. It wasn't very thrillerific. It was more horrific. Directed by Janal Schwalk. Co-written by Carl. Yeah, I got the Eugene names this time, but it's obviously it's a sequel to Steven Spielberg's Jaws. It's his second installment of the Jaws franchise, hence the name Jaws 2. Just in case You weren't, you couldn't put two and two together. Of course, we've got Roy Schreider reprising his role as Police Chief Martin Brody. Who else we have in this one here? We have Lorraine, Gary, Murray Hamilton, music by John Williams again. Written by, we did that already. Directed by, we did that already. Produced by, who cares? So basically, we are back on Amity Island, and there's a new hotel opening up. Of course, it's right on the beach. Now, seeing as how Jaws 2 is a Jaws film, and everybody saw Jaws 1, we already know that it's a mean shark, but they blew up the original mean shark, so they had to bring in a new mean shark. And this one gets his face burned off. And now he's like I don't know, would you consider him like a Jason-style shark? Freddy Krueger-style shark?
Yeah, because he had like half his face is all burnt and stuff, and it kind of carries on for the rest of the film until he just burns the rest of his head off at the end.
Yeah. I gotta say, this shark was much more like mean than Bruce.
It was really aggressive because like the first one, it kind of like looked for just prey. Like really, it looked for prey until it got to the point where it had to duel between the shark and the orca, the boat.
Sure.
Exactly. This one was like, no, if you're in a boat, fuck your boat. I'm going to charge through it, knock you off, and then eat you.
And you know what? If I can't do that, I'm going to use your boat to get through somebody else's boat to get to your boat again, and then I'm going to eat you. It's just like, fucking hell. This is one of the, I mean, I know sharks can't get rabies, but you got to have some kind of rabies type thing. Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, yes. This is the one with the helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah, which I don't. Okay. I've been in a helicopter. I have flown a helicopter simulator. I can tell you right now, you do not want to tow a boat with a helicopter. Helicopters are hard to fly.
Yeah.
No.
It
doesn't work.
Didn't make sense. I've never flown a helicopter. I looked at that scene thinking, this is stupid. This just looks like it's not good. This just looks like it's set up for Jaws to jump out and like eat the helicopter. And lo and behold, guess what? Spoiler alert, Jaws jumps out and eats the helicopter. It was really, whatever. And I agree with you, Mr. Malort. The sentient animal monsters, Jaws 2, the shark did seem to be a little more aware. It was a hell of a lot more intelligent. Because like you were saying, Bruce was just, he's like, okay, there's, kicking around in the water. I'm going to eat that because that's what I'm a shark. I'm going to eat, stuff that looks like it could be my food. That's the thing. Most people don't realize that when sharks attack, like people who get bit by sharks is because they look like a seal. Sharks don't generally like human peoples. They don't like human food.
Yeah, we taste bad to them. So they either have to be starving or they think it's something else. That's why a lot of times sharks will bite somebody and then like swim away. So people have just the bite mark on it or one missing lip.
That's the thing. They take a bite of you and they're like, it's gross. But that bite of you will just happen to be like all of your leg, whatever. But no, these freaking sharks, man, they were like, Bruce was irritable. You know what I mean? Everybody thought he was mean and just this nasty shark. And then you got Bruce number 2. We got his fucking face burned off in the opening scenes of the film. And then he's just like, all right, fuck these humans. Like he was pissed off.
that was his revenge. You gave me these scars.
You know what I mean? Fucking hell. He was just brilliantly positioned himself. It's the smartest shark I've ever seen. Not that sharks are stupid by any means, but this one just happened to be, golly.
It had to have been sentient. It had to have been.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because, typically sharks don't attack boats. Like, they don't because boats don't look like shark food. at
Right, and
all.
it's a bigger object. They're not gonna. I mean, sharks aren't stupid. You know, oh hey, there's a boat. Let me go poking around and see if there's some food in there for me to eat. No, they're gonna go find the school of bluefish, or they're gonna find something that's gonna be easier for them to munch on.
Exactly on it. So now, out of all the sequels, it is hands down the best sequel of Jaws
Oh yeah,
by a
absolutely.
large margin.
Yeah, because after this one we had Jaws 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a just real winner of a film.
Yeah, that's the one I think is for that SeaWorld or something like that. I think.
Underwater thing. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. It was. Yeah, just not. And that's another one we were talking about the other day, having a really good cast, but it just didn't. You had a really good cast in that one. Who was on that one? They had Louis Gossett Jr. He was in that
Yeah.
one.
I love him.
Yeah. Who else? Oh, oh, fucking hell. Man, I'm just not on my game today. I've been sick, right? I was sick all yesterday. It was not good. And it's kind of just now, like slowly it's one of those 24-hour bug things that lasted a little longer than 24 hours. So sleeping for me last night, I was up every like 20, 30 minutes. It was not fun. But
Oh, that's
anyway,
terrible.
It's one of them things. But you can feel you're over it. So you're starting to test the waters a little bit on eating food and drinking things, right? And the worst part of that is like you get dehydrated. So you get that dehydration headache.
Mm-hmm.
So felt like I was hungover and I didn't have anything to drink.
Yeah, you're dehydrated, you're hungry. You know you need to eat so you can have fuel for your body, but you don't want to eat because
You're
eating makes you
afraid.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a shark. The Jaws shark is in me right now. It's like, oh, fuck you, motherfucker. What you get for burning my face?
I'm going to hunt out your family.
All of them. Take them all out one by one. Bastard.
I want his wife dead. I want his kids dead. I want his house burned to the ground.
Yeah, I'll give you some fire. Anyway, but no, you are absolutely right. This one is the best of the sequels. And you know what? Standalone film, I think if this would not have been the sequel to Jaws, there are a lot of people that think that Jaws is the best, or Jaws 2 is the best film of the franchise. And I got to say, I disagree. I think Jaws is the best film of the Jaws franchise, simply because of what it was. With your main cast of characters, Roy Schreider, Robert Shaw, and Mr. Holland's Opus. Richard Dreyfuss. I thought, especially on the Orca, where the last half of the movie happens in the Orca between these three characters and the shark, everything about that, it just, I don't know, that really set the tone of what a Jaws film should be. So if you were to take that away, then definitely the second one is the best film. But you can't take away the original Jaws.
Yeah, I think you're right. If this was just a standalone and it was just called Shark or something like that, whatever, on it, it's not a bad film. Like it really isn't. But this is a good film. But the original Jaws has those iconic lines, those iconic moments, the music, even the very first kill on it is just it's iconic. And it can't hold up.
It really can, but they brought back John Williams to do the soundtrack for Jaws 2, but it just didn't have that same, you know what I mean? It didn't have that same, I don't know, that theme. The Jaws theme was fucking brilliant. It just didn't carry over to the second film.
It didn't. I mean, just because the fact that in the first film, it's such a mystery as to what it is. You barely see the shark at all in the entire film, and it's like, what is this? And that haunting, that dun 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 dun, it's creepy, and it's just building up. In Jaws 2, we all know it's a shark, so it can't be like what's this thing that's killer, because we all know it's a shark.
So so do you think that's the reason why they kind of went more slasher-ish? And do you think the slasher genre had a big influence on Jaws 2?
I think it's the other way around, because since this came out in 78, but this follows the slasher trope before slashers were a huge thing, because this was the same year that Halloween came out. And so really right before that, I always considered Texas Chainsaw Massacre almost like proto slasher on it. And then you have Halloween, like the slasher, and this happened to come out the same year because you have the college kids. They go out instead of the woods, they go out onto the ocean, and instead of having the killer with an axe or machete, it's a shark
with a burnt fucking face.
With a burnt fucking face on it. You have all the slasher tropes that have all put together to make this film. But it's funny because people don't think of Jaws 2 as a slasher film, but in actuality, it is.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely upped the buckets of blood in this one here, and the tension. Like, they took, not to say that Jaws didn't have tension, right? The tension building was really done well, but it's like they did more of it. Even though the silliness of the shark using a boat into another, like basically throwing a boat into another boat, even though that's kind of silly, right? The way that it's done is done decent. One thing that kills me, right? So you got the way the shark gets his face burned, right? That whole scene. Now you got somebody that's fucking speedboating, and they're doing what is it called?
It's like the water scene, yeah.
Right. How fast do sharks go? I didn't realize sharks swam that fast. Maybe I'm wrong, but they weren't like putting around on that freaking speedboat. This lady was driving fast, dragging another lady on a freaking rope. And that rope was taut. So they were going pretty quick. And all of a sudden, this freaking shark starts out from, 300 meters out and got this lady. Fuck me. How am I ever supposed to want to go in the ocean again?
Like, yeah, I don't know the top speed of a shark. And if I'm wrong, then I'm just wrong. But I didn't know a shark could hit like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's crazy. Especially if shark's that big and that fast. Yeah, we don't belong in water.
No, that's their land. That's all their territory.
You have a shark.
On that.
I'll stick to pool water that I can see that there's no sharks in that motherfucker. And even then, you never know. Bruce might be jumping in from God knows where, figure out some way to fly.
I do love the scene though when the boat blows up, because you have the woman who takes out the gas can and she's like dousing it, and then she stumbles and starts dousing herself with like fuel and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Oh, now that I've gone ahead and freaking douched myself and everything else, let me get the flare gun out. Fucking lady, how did you think this was going to end?
Exactly.
Oh man.
So
here's, go ahead.
So I actually, when I was doing a little bit of research for this movie, I didn't know that the director and Roy Schreider actually got into a fist fight on set.
That's wow. Speaking of getting along.
Yeah. So they went, because Roy originally didn't want to do Jaws, but he was under Jaws 2 because he was under contract. So he did it anyways. And then he got into it, the director, they got in a fist fight, and the original editor, Vera, who edited the first Jaws, basically jumped on top of them, sat on them to make them stop.
That's funny. I'm going to sit on you till you both quit. That's something your father would do. Okay, so the maximum measured speed of a white shark is about 35 miles per hour. See, I knew that shark was going too fast.
Yeah, they're going faster than 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, on a speedboat? Yeah. It's a superhuman shark or a super shark. Something like that. Anyway, speaking of, we were talking about Christine and Firestarter earlier. Do you think, and this is a call to action, the audience call to action, do you think, golly, will Hollywood reboot Jaws? Let us know in the comment section or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. What do you think?
Do I think they will? Yes.
Yeah.
Should they?
Hell
no. just you know, there are certain films you just don't do iconic films. You just
right.
don't.
What would be the best outcome, the best you could hope for, especially redoing Jaws? You got to think about it. Like all the great films, what's the best that you could hope for on a remake
to get equal to the original? That's the best case.
You could do. Yeah, exactly. Even if you have, I mean, if they did it like 100 years from now, they probably have a chance, right? They got a shot. Because it's old film, you know, it'll be 150 years old, whatever. However old it would be, it'd be old. They have a shot. But to do it now, like
you have to wait until everybody who saw the original in theaters and on VHS is dead.
Yep.
Yeah. I
agree.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only chance. The fact that it kind of fades away and then less and less people hear about it, and then you can kind of redo it.
Yeah. Look, Jinju, I don't go shitting on your fantasies, right? Don't you come in here shitting on mine. Don't take it. Look. That's 1 mile per hour faster than that shark's maximum speed. Okay.
I'm just saying, you have an object going 36 miles an hour being chased by an object going 35 miles an hour. You're not going to catch it. That's all I'm saying.
I kid, Jinju. All right, what do we have up next? Is it me? Is it me again? With this weird schedule. Yeah, it is me. Holy crap. Now, I was able to actually rewatch this film in its entirety. And I got to say, out of all the films that I got to rewatch in their entirety, I probably picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
We have Waxwork, a 1988 American comedy horror film written and directed by Anthony Hickox, starring Billy from Gremlins, Zach Galligan, Deborah Foreman, Michelle Johnson, David Warner, Dana Ashbrook, and Patrick McNee. It was inspired by the 1924 German silent film Waxworks. Basically, you have a group of college students who happen across this interesting wax museum that's just popped out of nowhere. Now, this wax museum, they have different displays. The curator, I guess you would call him, invited six. I forget what the character's name was, but invited. What was her name? Sarah, I believe.
Yeah, Sarah Bright.
Sarah Bright, yeah. So invited Sarah Brightman to the opening or a private showing of this wax museum. And it said, bring 6 of your friends, no more than 6 of your friends. So they come back, all kinds of funny things happen. And it turns out that this wax museum would be something that I thought J.L. Warren would be interested in. But it's all of, look, Jinju, look, just stop it. You're ruining it. I'm never going into the ocean again because of you, Jinju. Anyway, so yeah, it turns out all these different displays are of different monsters like Phantom of the Opera, Wolfman, Dracula, so on and so forth. And in all actuality, what these little stations or the exhibits are portals into these monster arenas. And the idea is to capture, somebody has to be killed in these monster arenas, each one of them. After they're all said and done, then that will open them up and they will come back to life, unleashing hell on earth. And that's your synopsis.
Oh, yes. And yes, actually, PhD Tony, you are correct. It does depend on the angle of approach in terms of a skier and a shark.
Look, all of you, I'm never going in the ocean again, okay?
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
This is, I will give it effort on its art direction. A lot of
it was fun, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. The wax figures and all the other kind of stuff were actually really well done.
Mm-hmm.
on it, and it's a cool concept because you cross over the rope and then you get transported into another dimension and a couple stuff happens. It's kind of a cool premise.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was really cool way to kind of trap the people in there.
On it, and it kind of came out during 1988. You had a lot of fantasy style horror films that are coming out. You had films as like Warlock and like you had Legend that came out at the same time, around the same time. And so these fantasy films, these fantasy horror films were actually pretty big for a very short window.
They were. It was 88, so it was definitely late 80s. Early to, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think because Legend came out when? 86?
Maybe something like that.
I can't remember exactly when that came out, but even if you take a look at some of the other fantasy films, like the whole fantasy genre was big in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. You had Dark Crystal, you had The Labyrinth, you had even Neverending Story, right? And they all three of those had horror elements to them. So yeah, that take this like upping the ante, so to speak. I thought the premise was cool, like you, the way you awaken the monsters inside of the vaults.
Yeah, it is. And so it's a fun movie. It is better than some of the other movies we're talking about today.
It's definitely not the worst film on the list. We kid. We enjoy all the campiness and all the silliness of the horror genre.
Listen, we watch good movies and bad movies alike. We enjoy all of them. Every movie has something that you can enjoy, whether it was intentional or not is a whole different story. But there's something that you can enjoy.
Exactly. And this one, I mean, I did enjoy this one here. I enjoyed the different elements that how they wrapped in all of your movie monsters, and they kind of made it a little self-aware too, where the caretaker was talking about talking about the Phantom of the Opera, talking about how they made a movie of that, and he had no idea they made a movie of it.
Oh yeah.
Just little things like that I thought were pretty cool. I like the werewolf transformation for it not being a werewolf film. It was actually done really well.
Oh, I was actually fixing to talk about the werewolf. I thought the werewolf was done extremely well. So I mean, in terms of art direction and makeup effects and everything like that, it's definitely on point. And this isn't like we were talking about earlier with like A Touch of Death where it just looks cheap. This looks like a full studio film.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you know, they took careful planning in each one of the legends they got into, like one actually got into where people made it cross the threshold into through the portals and whatnot. So looking at like the one where Billy, oh, I don't want to call him Billy.
Because it's a generic horror name, Billy.
Well, no, because that's who he played in. He was Billy in Gremlins.
Yeah.
Mark is his name. Mark, the main character, when he crosses over into the zombie, you could tell that it's Night of the Living Dead type thing. Except for the part where he cuts the hand off and the hand becomes the thing. That was a little weird, a little hokey.
Yeah.
But you know, each one of with the mummy, and they took time and actually they showed appreciation and they showed respect for the source material, so to speak. So they made sure to pay like the Count Dracula or the vampires. Those were done really well. I thought it was kind of funny that they were keeping the guy alive when his like half of his leg was eaten and it was being munched on by some rats. That was kind of funny. But you could tell they actually respected the source material. They weren't trying to make. I mean, it's considered a horror comedy, but they weren't making fun of these monsters.
It felt more like an homage to like the Universal monsters, the Hammer horror, that kind of include everybody in, and they did their homework, and I thought they had good representation of all of it.
Right. And I like I said, yeah, I absolutely enjoyed everything about this film, except for the fact that, well, I don't know. I guess Billy was okay. Billy, fucking hell.
Yeah, with Mark.
Zach Galligan, his performance was a little stiff, but Other than that, yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable. It wasn't terrible to watch. I mean, like I said, we kid on these films, but
It's definitely, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a watch.
sure.
It
And it's
really
one of
is.
those ones you could probably watch with your kids, maybe a little bit older. You know what I mean? Wait till a little bit older, but you could probably watch this with your kids and not worry too much. I think you can watch it for free with commercials on Amazon Prime. So
Yeah, I think so too. So it'll be a great, if you have kids and you want to get them into horror, this is a great one that you can throw on. When, like I said, they're not super young, but that's a decent age.
yeah,
You can
probably
watch it with them.
yeah, preteens, I guess.
Yeah, preteens, something like that. That can be something they can enjoy.
So, what do you think about the early German silent film beginnings?
So, this was actually based off of a film called Waxworks that came out in 1924.
Yeah.
And has some really, really creative stuff, and really some creative shots in it, kaleidoscope stuff that they did. It showcased a lot of the advanced German expressionism, because what a lot of people don't know is up into World War II, Germany was pretty much the place for films, especially shortly around like World War One and stuff like that. So when you had Hollywood, was actually like a step down compared to German films at the time. So when you think of like you think of films like Metropolis and stuff like that, those were like the peak at the time. And this goes and falls along with this. And it actually wasn't until World War II, where Hitler took over, a lot of the German filmmakers who were Jewish fled. They fled to the United States. And Hollywood ended up becoming, after the war, the number one big film spot, as it is now still today. But Germany was the place to go, and they had a lot of advanced and experimental techniques that they use, and Waxworks takes advantage of that. So on it, it's definitely, it has some great cinematography for 1924. It's very interesting to watch if you enjoy silent films, which there's a handful of silent films that everybody should watch if you're into films.
Right.
And with Waxwork, Nosferatu, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis are all great silent films to watch. Birth of a Nation is super racist, but super influential.
It's so racist, it's almost not racist. If it got any more racist, it would not be racist anymore. That's how racist this motherfucker
is. It was. So Birth of a Nation came out in 1915, and it was funded by the Ku Klux Klan, because they were they were the powerhouse at the time. In fact, the president of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, and Birth of a Nation was the first film ever shown in the White House. It was. Wow. And so, and Woodrow Wilson watched it. Oh yeah. Woodrow Wilson watched it, and afterwards he was like, sadly, that's how things are. So that should show you a little bit about that film. But
yeah,
with The Birth of a Nation, it invented the modern editing technique. They also invented things like the close-up, because there were no close-ups really before that movie. And a lot of the editing before then was just a bunch of wide shots that made it look like stage plays, and we're actually getting close-ups. We're actually getting cutaways, a close-up of a hand actually turning a doorknob. The Birth of a Nation is one of the first films to do that. So it's definitely, watch it with a grain of salt, because it has blackface in it also.
Watch it for the technique, not for the content.
Yes, exactly. On it. But Waxworks, the 1924, it's a great one. Definitely, if you're into it, check it out.
And then watch the 1988 version, because why not?
Yeah, why not? Watch both. Compare the two.
Watch them both. Compare the two. Which one do you like? That the butler in Waxworks. I like how they had. It was like, there
was a height disparity.
Yeah, it was this one here, and then they had two servants, one tiny and one not so tiny. That was interesting.
And we mean by tiny, we mean tiny.
Yeah, it was a little person.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So one thing about this film, we alluded to talking about the different monsters, is the 18 evil beings. So you had the mummy, you had the Invisible Man, you had werewolves, you had vampires, zombies, Phantom of the Opera, all kinds of things. So my question to the audience: which one is your favorite of the 18 evil beings? Who is your favorite? Leave us a comment in the comment section or shoot us an email. weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'll get that right one of these days.
I'm definitely leaning towards the werewolf. I thought the werewolf is my favorite.
It was definitely my favorite in the film for sure.
Yeah.
because of the way that it was done. It was done so well that they took time in the transition. They didn't just like fake it because it's only a little part of the movie. We don't really need to make it big, whatnot. But no, they took time with it. So yeah, I think the vampires are over cliche.
And everybody's commenting vampires right now.
Yeah. Oh, funny that my car was once homaged. Sir Chasm says it just couldn't quite figure out whether to try to be funny or scary, and ended up pulling off neither. No, yeah, it wasn't scary. It was funny, but probably for the wrong reasons. We were laughing at it, not with it.
Yeah, I don't ever think it was intended to be scary.
I don't think so. I don't think it was really. There were some decently scary-ish parts, but yeah, I don't think it was supposed to be overly scary, because when you're dealing with I guess a compilation type film like this, where you're trying to put a lot of bad scary things into a little bit, you don't have time to build up the scariness of the monster. The scariness comes from the the situation more so.
Yeah, it comes up from the tension. Do you have to have that build up to get that scariness to it? And you just don't have time when you have so many in this one.
Right, exactly. Now, had they like broke it down into 4, or 2 to maybe 3, you could have done it, but they were really trying to put a whole bunch in there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what do we have up next? We've got this is yours. This is your favorite film.
Do you like giant animals? Because you're about to get a lot of giant animals.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so for our final film, we have The Food of the Gods, released June 18th, 1976. It was directed by Bart Gordon, and it stars Mary Jo Gortner, Pamela Franklin, Ralph Meeker, John Cipher, and Ida Lupino. And basically,
I am impressed.
I did it.
You did it.
I made it through. Totally had to practice that.
That's okay. Don't tell jail.
And so basically what ends up is you start getting these edible fruits that start appearing on this island. And as they start feeding it to the livestock begins to grow in size. And so you're getting insects and sheep and rats and all this other kind of stuff that just grow to this enormous size and start attacking this family on their ranch.
I loved that rat scene.
The rat scene was good, though.
I love that scene because, again, they used practical effects, and the way they shot it, the close-ups of the rats, of like actual rats, and the way the aspect ratio, is that what it's called when you have it, and then you kind of put a human next to a rat, but the rat, obviously the rat is the biggest. Well, I don't know, some of them New York rats are pretty fucking big, but
it's the perspective difference. So you will have like the rat really close to the camera and the human really far away, but it makes it look like the rat so much. But yeah, and
then those rats were, they were just munching down on some people, and then this dude gets the freaking this long rifle out and starts blasting these rats away taking chunks out of him. And I was like, hey, man, that kind of hurts a little bit. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm trying to eat here. Leave me alone.
I know. I don't go around shitting on you when you're having a meal, motherfucker.
that was a great scene. Because you had the model house, so they built a miniature house, and you had the rats all around it, and then you have the perspective thing. Like, they actually really took a lot of time to make it a great scene.
Yeah. That movie. Again, we like to kid on these movies, but this one was, like I said, it had some really good things done about it, and that's one of them. Like that, doing that type of stuff practically. Nowadays, they would just throw a cartoon in there. $17,000 CGI budget for one rat. There's something to be said about practical effects. It's still my favorite.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort and time that goes into it, because you have to sit down. It's like, hey, how are we going to do this? And sometimes it involves experimentation. They'll have test shoots to make sure it works properly. And we have to tweak it here and there before you can finally get it to where the way you look. I will appreciate that, and I will rather take a not so good practical effect than a super clean CGI every time.
Yeah. So before we get into a little bit more about this movie, I just want to kind of touch again on CGI. If you take a look at The Thing, and then The Thing prequel that came out 15, 20 years later. The Thing, the practical effects in The Thing I thought they were so much better than the CGI stuff. The CGI in the prequel wasn't bad. It just didn't have that same kind of, I don't know, to me, those practical effects made it more creepy. The fact that it was unnatural, right?
And the thing is as time passes, the 1982 version is going to age better than the 2011 version of it, because what you get in the 1982 version, it's not going to change 50 years from now on whatever screen you put it on, or however you stream it. It's going to look exactly the same,
right?
Instead of that bad like I said, it's not bad CGI, but the CGI, it just doesn't age well.
Right. Very little CGI has aged well. The Jurassic Park, as the original film, great. The CGI special effects in there were amazing, but they were just done. They were done just right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did. Those have aged. A lot of Steven Spielberg stuff and a lot of James Cameron, like even Terminator 2, a lot of that CGI has aged very well on it.
Right.
But these are people who, first of all, have the budget to do it, and they know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, and they've got, they've got enough sense and wherewithal to not, well, at least Cameron did. Or I don't know, Cameron has gotten to really big CGI now. But when Aliens and Terminator 2 came out, it was done just enough, right? Only used when absolutely needed, when the things that he required couldn't be done with practical effects. Nowadays, everybody just wants to do it because, it's easier. We think it's easier to do this cartoon thing as opposed to actually doing the practicality of it. So I always appreciate practical effects. Anyways, so let's talk about the Island of Danger trope. So we've got this coming out in 78, and somebody was a Tony Regime talking about the Island of Dr. Moreau. Absolutely, yeah. So, and then Jurassic Park. There you go. There's another one.
Another one.
Yeah, a little bit later. So go ahead.
This is a trope that we actually don't see nearly as often anymore, where you have the island adventure kind of thing, and because you got a lot of it, especially during like the Odyssey and the whole 1960s, 1970s, where you have the Greeks and they would go and do all the mythological stuff. Those films were big, Jason and Argonauts and stuff.
Right.
We don't really see that a lot anymore.
Well, is it that we don't see it, or that it's moved? Now it's not the island. Now it's space exploration.
And maybe that's it, because the world feels small today. We talk to people all over the world. We have people in our chat from that all over the world. It's so easy to interact. It doesn't feel like there's a place you can really get lost anymore. Maybe Antarctica.
Right.
On Earth. There's just doesn't really seem like that place anymore. So, and we all know space is the next frontier.
Right. So if you think about it, maybe it's not that. Maybe the idea of the danger island is just the danger of the unknown. And now, because of modern technology and GPS and the fact that we can travel from, what would have taken months to get from London to New York now takes hours. I mean, 14 hours, but still hours as opposed to months. Now the unknown would be like Mars explorations, right? You know what I mean? It's that we've seen that the dangerous island now is just on Mars, or it'll be on the moon, or it'll be past our solar system. I think that's where they've kind of moved.
Yeah, more into that sci-fi element. Yeah, because you need the aspect of exploration to create that danger element. And if it doesn't feel explored, like you can't do a danger island film in Galveston. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no. Although I did hear that because of ice and whatnot, that there are new islands that are being found up north in the Arctic region, Arctic Circle. I'm sure PhD Tony will correct me on that one. Which that would be kind of cool. I think that would be an interesting type of dangerous island story if somebody were to come up on that. They could tie in the whole climate ecology and all that stuff all together in one, and how that because we're melting the ice, we're releasing the new monsters of the world.
That could be interesting, because as the ice is melting, they've already found new bacteria, new viruses. They've found perfectly preserved or almost perfectly preserved, like a saber-toothed tiger and some other a type of rhinoceros over in like Russia, like Siberia and stuff like that. So we're getting new cells and new microorganisms that could lead to something.
Raging polar foxes. There you go.
Now, I did want to comment on Tony Regime with 127. I like the 127 hours. And yeah, technology can fail you and you can technically still get lost. We have the Malaysia flight.
Yeah, that's why you should. Yeah, the Malaysia flight that they still haven't found. But what's his name for 127 hours? He should have told people where he was going to be. That was just he was just being stupid.
Yeah, you can go hiking 100 times, and all it takes is that one time.
Yep. That's why I'm fat, because I don't go hiking. Because that guy went hiking one time and he doesn't have an arm anymore.
he had a great sense of humor. I watched an interview with him on, I think he's like Jay Leno or Conan O'Brien or something like that, and they're like, "Oh man, it's so terrible." He's like, "No, it's totally fine," and stuff like that. And he like took his prosthetic off and showed it around. And you always had the question that people would ask, because he cut his arm off with a pocket knife. They're like, "How did you get through the bone?" And he was like, "Oh, well, it's simple. I just broke it."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how you cut your arm off with a pocket knife.
That's how you cut your arm with a pocket knife. Yeah, I'm geez, that's a will to live right there. I'll tell you that. My goodness.
That is, and he said, because he broke it from on his forearm area. He said the worst part wasn't the first break; it's the second one to get the second bone, because he never broke a bone before up to that point, so he didn't know really what to expect. And then after breaking the first one, he realized how much it was going to hurt, and the second one was far worse.
I'll pass. I'll hike in my living room. I go hiking in my mother's woods all the time. Well, all the time. Every time I go out there to Colorado, which obviously isn't very often, but I do go hike out there, and she has bears and mountain lions and all kinds of shit that wants to kill you.
Oh yeah, all kinds of shit out there.
Yeah, but so ecology strikes back again. Speaking of bears, yeah, I think it would be. That's an interesting aspect of this film, talking about how, because you had like that stupid M. Night Shyamalan film, The Happening, where it was the plants and whatnot. They were attacking people because of pollution and whatnot. And this film kind of focuses on what happens when you do mess with the natural order of things, be it accidental or not.
Yeah, it's
What the hell was that?
some motorcycle on it. There's like a major street right outside this house, so occasionally you'll have trucks and motorcycles that will go by.
Anyway, you were about to say you were about to make that point.
There are some actual legitimate good ecology horror films like The Ruins, that tackle it. Everybody always thinks of The Happening first in terms of like ecological horror. They think of like The Happening or Birdemic or stuff like that, and I felt like it kind of tainted that genre.
Yeah. Well, I think of The Happening first because it's a bad film. It's just not fucking Mark Wahlberg talking to a plastic ficus.
They ran from a breeze. A breeze.
Yeah, you're running from the wind, you idiots. I mean, where are you gonna go where there's not a breeze, you jackasses? Anyway, go to the desert. That's where you'll survive. People in Las Vegas don't have to worry about plants trying to kill them because they ain't got none.
There are no trees.
Anyway, I mean, so that's the reason why I went to that one, because it was so just not good. So bad.
And I think that's the go-to that everybody, because it's so bad.
Yeah.
And there are some good ecological horror films, but I think The Happening, on a scale of impact, how bad that film is outweighs the impact of the good films of ecological horror.
What's the best ecological horror film you've seen?
And see, this is why I struggle to think.
Because you automatically go to The Happening.
You automatically go to The Happening
because it was so bad.
It is. And you have, let's see, like I think The Ruins is what came to mind because I was thinking of another one. Yeah. And I like that one. I don't think it's the best one, but I like that one. But Tony Regime talked about Them, the 1954 one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That's a solid one.
I liked Them because I like all those 50s, late or 50s, 60s monster films, because they were definitely it was in response to nuclear threat, nuclear war, and whatnot. So they had something to say about don't bomb yourself, because if you do, you're gonna get giant ants that'll eat you.
They'll take you alive, and then eventually you get Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla, and then Mothra, and then you have Dr. McCoy fighting off giant bunny rabbits.
Day of the Triffids.
There he is. Yeah,
exactly. You get some others like frogs, and just it continues on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry, Charlie Welch. Nuclear vessels. Is that better?
Nuclear
vessels. Oh man, Charlie Welch.
And
so the ecology horror film thing. Do we think there's going to be a resurgence to ecology horror? That's the call to action, by the way. I'm just kind of getting into this one here.
So definitely let us know if you think there will be a resurgence of ecological horror on it. One, I think it's the day after tomorrow. That's an ecological world versus tries to freeze people to death.
That's yeah. And that one wasn't done terribly. It was done okay.
It had its moments. Like if the film ended when the giant tsunami hit like New York, like that scene was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, it was well done. The instant freezing part was pretty cool, but then you had Dennis Quaid go on his trek to go get Jake Gyllenhaal, and that was kind of
I'm like, I'm sorry, Jake. I know you're my son and everything, but there'll be more movies. You'll be okay.
You'll live. You'll be
live.
okay.
You'll make millions. That's terrible. I'm kidding. I would probably do that for my kids.
Probably. It depends. It's kind of
we're iffy on this one. Like, did you guys call me for Christmas? No? Well, fuck you then.
You're on your own. Good luck.
I'm kidding. That's a joke for all you people who are listening from the courts. But yeah, so thinking about that ecology horror, where could they go? I mean, I think that's something that they could take the ecology horror and the island, the dangerous island, and kind of put those together in space.
Yeah, you have I watched recently Life, where they got samples from Mars and they had the creature that started attacking them on the space station.
That was they had Ryan Reynolds, and he was done pretty quick in that one, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, where it like swam into like his mouth. Yeah.
No, I don't want to go to Mars anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of curious. Where do you think that's going to go? What would be, if you were to pitch a movie about ecological horror? What would it be?
I like the idea of like the ice melting and revealing land that hasn't seen daylight in say 1 million years.
Yeah, I think that's
and
cool.
What you could find on that, maybe some
copyright Week in Horror 2021.
yes. This is being recorded, by the way, too.
June 10th, 2021 at 8:25 p.m. Central.
Absolutely, yes. You have to contact our company, but
company attorney.
Yeah, company attorney. We can work out some rights on that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think definitely
bring all the commas. Bring all the commas.
Yes, a lot of commas, a lot of zeros. But definitely something like global warming. So you reveal land and some kind of dormant virus. We got them mentioning the Andromeda strain, something like that can possibly infect people. Or maybe some kind of creature that's able to survive being frozen for long periods of time and it comes back. I think that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Whoa, giant leeches. Ice melting to reveal giant prehistoric leeches. That would be cool.
That would be cool. That could be a fun movie.
There's a fish thing that looks like it's got like all these teeth sideways, you know what I mean? Like those suction teeth. Have you seen this thing?
No.
Yeah, it's creepy as fuck. Making there again more shit to make you not want to get in the water.
Yeah, fuck that.
The ice melt and the virus. Yeah, that's the most plausible thing that could happen. The ice melting, and then we have a virus. I think that's absolutely correct. That's going to be the most believable, the easiest one to riff on. And if it's done right, and especially if it's done like put out end of this year, beginning of next year, which is kind of quick for a film. Get to work, Eugene. I think it would do really well because of recent events, obviously.
Yeah, I think that being the most plausible, and it kind of be interesting to see how you could approach it and what the virus actually does, because there's so many viruses that are prehistoric that we have no idea exist or anything about, and they've found infected bones and tissues up in frozen areas. So the viruses are dormant, but all it takes is one of them to all of a sudden they're active again, and no one has an immune system to it.
Right, and we're all just gone.
And that's it. Virus wins, humans zero.
Humans zero.
Golly.
How about we get to the trivia question so we can all go like contemplate how we're going to die tomorrow?
Okay, yeah. For some uplifting news.
That's right. Yes, for the fun part of the show. Everybody get your Google foo ready.
All right. So, the trivia question, which we don't have JL to talk to say what the prize is.
The prize is going to be the new limited edition Weekend Horror shirt. So if you haven't seen this yet, go to teespring.com/weekinhorror. Check this thing out because I think it's great. I think it's probably one of the best. Chris Durham already got the answer.
Buddy Epstein. Yeah.
We don't even need to ask a question. But no, it's really awesome. It's the Weekend Horror crew as the band. What do we call ourselves?
Kink shaming cannibals.
Kink shaming cannibals. In the style of Rancid. Go check it out. It's awesome.
Yes.
Charlie Welsh says he just got his mug. Awesome. That's great.
Awesome. I'm hoping you enjoying it.
Enjoying all the coffee and tea and whatever else you want to put in that mug and drink. It's up to you.
It's your mug. Put whatever you want.
It's your mug. Whatever you want to drink. All right, what do we got? What's our trivia question?
All right, our trivia question is: the food of the gods was based on a portion of a 1904 novel by what famous author called the father of science fiction? See, I'll say that again. The Food of the Gods was based on a portion of a 1904 novel by what famous author called the father of science fiction? And
Mr. Malort, you're so close.
Oh, he adjusted.
All right, Mr. Malort, very good. H.G. Wells, very good. Mr. Malort, make sure you send your shipping details to JL, myself, or Alex, maybe Eugene. Send it to the email, weekinhorror at gmail.com. Or you know what? I think you're in the Discord. So just find one of us in Discord. Let us know your shirt size and your shipping details, and we'll get that shirt out to you. But yes, H.G. Wells.
Yes, the father of science fiction, who has written a lot of science fiction stuff. Jules Verne is very close on it, but yes, H.G. Wells.
Yep. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. I had fun doing it. Even though JL and Alex aren't here, who needs those guys? You and me can hold this show.
We got it. We can do it.
Show. We got this show. We don't need those guys. Please come back.
Please
come back. No, but JL should be back. JL should be back next week. And I'm not sure how long Alex is going to be out, especially if he's got a new wee little baby. But yeah, we'll let everybody know. Just keep an eye on all the announcements and whatnot that we make. But man, I can't believe it's been an hour and a half since we started this show.
It's already damn.
I know. I'm telling you. My goodness, we were like just riffing and going, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we went by really fast.
It seemed. I thought it was quick. These shows are pretty. Yeah, whatever. Fine, we're short.
It's okay.
60-minute drag out. Whatever. You got to get going though. You've got important things to do.
Yes. I got. Hopefully, I'll be able to show something next weekend or next episode.
Sweet. That's going to be a lot of fun. So for everybody who's listening via podcast, make sure you tune in to the live recording, which will be next Wednesday. What would that be? Not the 18th. It'll be the 17th, right?
Is 16th. Yeah, 16th.
So June 16th at 7 Central Time. Make sure you tune in to the Weekend Horror live broadcast, or not the live broadcast, but the live recording on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and look up Weekend Horror. We're the first one that pops up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment on some of your favorite episodes. Give some thumbs up. All that fun stuff. But do be sure to check it out because we'll have hopefully something very special to show everybody. For Eugene to give us a thumbs up because he is the guy.
We got last little bit of stuff to put it together. But it's almost done.
Yeah. I gotta say it was a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, hopefully we can do it again. Let's see here. Charlie Wells says, "Good job, fellas. You're doing a show tomorrow night." I do plan on having a show tomorrow. Like I said, I'm 75 to 80% better today than I was yesterday. So hopefully by this time tomorrow I'll be back 100% good to go. Alex had. I don't think Alex has had the baby yet, or Alex's wife has had the baby. I don't think they've had the baby yet, but the baby was due to be induced on the 15th.
Yeah, it was by the 15th, but yesterday he said she was having contractions every 15 minutes. So I haven't talked to him today.
Right. Yeah. I haven't heard from him either. I asked him the question in our admin chat, and he hadn't said anything. So hopefully everything's okay, going well. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that wee little face and the cheeks and babies are awesome.
Yeah,
especially when they're other people's.
Have fun with those diapers.
Yeah, you were like, "Oh, baby, it's so cute." Here you go. Take it back. All right. And that brings us another episode of Weekend Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we discuss the 2004 Salem's Lot. I didn't even know they made a 2004 Salem's Lot. That's how disconnected I was. The Mask of the Red Death, and Annabelle Comes Home. We'd like to send a special shout out to our amazing patrons who have helped us make the show the success it has become. Glass Monster, Alien X Gaming, Dark Steve, Sir Chasm, Anthony Purcell, Nana, Kyrie, Jose Oladle, James Jones, Jeff Roberts, Commander Darklight, Crafty Keela, Gavlar the Hand of Zod, and Alex S, I think so. Yes, boom. Let's see. I'm sorry, that's basic trigonometry. Visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find the links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every month, courtesy of $6shirts.com. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Followers get our daily splatter. A bit of horror info every day right into your feed. You never know what new horrors you may discover. Subscribe to our channel and smash that bell like a zombie head for the latest updates from the show. We really hope you enjoy the new live format, and we'd love to get your feedback. Be sure to leave us a comment below, as the interactions really help us with that dreaded algorithm. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and you would like to and are able to support our production, you can do so through Patreon. We have a subscriber tier as low as $1. Bonus and exclusive content and horror films every month for our highest tiers. However, if you prefer, you can support the show through our PayPal as well. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, and even interact directly with us, are in the description below. And while the country is finally beginning to recover from recent events, we know that things are still pretty tight for many people. As always, simply commenting, liking, and sharing this show with the friends in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. We appreciate each and every one of you for being the greatest audience a podcast could have. I'm Johnny O.
And I'm Eugene.
And we'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.